That's my review of Jujutsu Kaisen episode 18. Um, this was a week late because had a fucking power outage last week. I just didn't have time to get around to it. So we open like looking at this feudal Japan style building where like you have the wooden slats and then the paper. I think that means that we're looking at the temple that we've been seeing, or at least a building similar. Come to think of it, actually, Mechamaru and Panda fought on a bunch of rooftops, so this might be the same area, I'm not sure. But we go inside and see that Fushiguro is fighting the archers. There's these arrows flying at him and he's dodging them. He starts running down the hallways. We see more of these paper wooden window things, walls, whatever you want to call them. And he's dodging the arrows pretty nicely. He manages to jump up onto a beam. We cut to the archer and we see he fires the arrows and he can just kind of manipulate them to do whatever he wants. They go around a corner and down some stairs and stuff. And then Fushiguro uses the two batons he has to break two of them, and then two more come behind him, and he has two frog shikigami that grab those and pull them out, and he breaks one of them. And we see blood fly out, and he explains that Kamo, the archer, is using a technique where he puts his blood into an object, basically, and he can control it. Kamo shows up and they kind of start talking. Kamo says something about his shikigami. And Fushiguro reveals that Demon Dogs is away on a separate task. They kind of talk about how they're from two of three major clans. So there's one more clan we haven't seen yet. We learned that Fushiguro's shikigami have something to do with shadows. I didn't quite grasp the explanation, but I think it's that he summons his shikigami from shadows, but I'm not sure. Kamo ends up firing his last arrow and it goes up and hits the ceiling, and some debris falls down. As the debris falling down, Kamo charges at Fushiguro because he can't see him coming because of the debris. And he leaps and attacks Fushiguro. He punches at him, and Fushiguro blocks it with one of his batons, and it cracks the baton. And Fushiguro kind of remarks that his attack was really powerful, seemingly more powerful than he would have assumed it would be. Kamo opens his eye, and then blood like appears around it. Kamo then kind of like teleports. It seems like he's like in front of him and goes to the side, I believe. And then he uses a palm strike, and it shatters Fushiguro's baton, the one that was cracked entirely, so now it's thrown away. And Fushiguro says that he's doping, which I guess explains the increased strength and speed, but I'm not really sure what that means exactly, that he's doping. I've never actually, I know the term blood doping, but I don't know. I always thought that just was someone like injecting blood into their body to give them more red blood cells or something. So I would assume what this means is that Kamo is increasing the production of his red blood cells and also increasing his circulation. I don't know entirely, but either way, the result is increased speed and strength. I don't think he added anyone else's to his own, and that's what I'm not 100% on. We cut to Miwa, and she's kind of singing to herself and lamenting that Maki stole her sword. It was pretty funny, and then she gets a call from Mechamaru, and she answers it, calling herself useless. I think she has a great attitude about this whole thing, but then she's told by Inumaki to go to sleep, and so she falls asleep. We cut to Inumaki now, and we see that Demon Dog was there when we gave him Mechamaru's phone, and he tells the dog to return. And then he senses a presence. And I think it's really fucked up to think that Fushiguro sent Demon Dog to steal a phone from a crippled man with one arm in a bathtub. That imagery is just fucked up. We cut to the principals and teachers, and Utahime says she's going to go retrieve Miwa because it's dangerous to leave her asleep while there's second grade curses going around the forest. And then we cut to a plan by the principal. I still don't entirely know his name. It has like a G, Garu Gashi or something like that. But we kind of see that he had a plan. His plan was to release a semi-first grade spirit to go and attack Itadori during the fucking festival, or whatever they're calling it, exchange event. And his idea was he gave Kamo a piece of a little bit of blood put on Itadori to act as a scent, and a whistle that would signal the spirit to attack. Has basically been trained to respond to this whistle, and I guess go after this scent. And he basically left it up to Kamo to do it when he thought it would be appropriate, and the principal's thinking that once Itadori leaves his fight from Todo, he'll be tired, and the semi-first grade spirit should be able to kill him. And so he kind of just says, oh yeah, Otahime should go get me while I'm worried about her. And then we come back to Inumaki, and he sees the first grade spirit coming from behind a tree, and it looks at him, and then it looks up, and then its head falls down and it rolls. And so it's dead, and we actually see that Hanami, the cursed spirit with one arm and the tree branches coming out of its eyes, is there. We cut to Mahito for a moment and see that he's standing on a roof along with some butcher dude. It's got like a fucking something similar to a meat cleaver. It's not quite a meat cleaver. It's some kind of hatchet, and like literally a fucking like leather apron like a butcher would wear. And he starts saying that Gojo is 190 centimeters tall, and he's going to make a coat rack out of him. This is weird. We come back to the fight between Kamo and Fushiguro, and we learn that Kamo's mother was considered a slut by their family, so I guess that she slept around. And he kind of asks, he basically asks why. We kept him as a child, and he asks why his mother is disavowed by the family, and they say because she's a slutty concubine. And then he asks why he's valued since he's his mother's son, and they basically say that because he's the genetic heirs to the family aren't powerful enough to be the heir. So he's the heir. So I think that means he's an illegitimate heir, meaning he's not like biologically connected to his father, who would be connected to the clan. I think that's what that means. Like his father comes from the clan, he met his mother. His mother had a child with someone else, so he's not connected to him at all. And then him and a new person had a child, but that child wasn't good enough. So I think that explains his position. I'm not 100%. But I might have missed some details or missed something up, I'm not sure. We see some nice action where they're going back and forth. Really nice choreography, nothing looked off to me. This all looked pretty good, a lot of smears and stuff. It ends in a big strike where Kamo does another one of his palm strikes, and it breaks Fushiguro's final baton in half, and he throws it away. Kamo starts talking about his intentions, and there's a very nice OST that starts playing. It sounds really cool. Basically says he wants to kill Itadori. And we get some internal monologue about how he feels he needs to kill Itadori, not because the teacher told him to, but because he thinks it's what he has to do for the clan and for his mother to like be treated better or something like that, to have her accepted into the clan, I guess. He thinks he and Fushiguro are alike. Fushiguro tells him that they're really not anything alike. And Kamo kind of sees him as the future of the Zenin clan. And Fushiguro corrects him and tells him that he really doesn't have any connection to the Zenin clan anymore, and that if he wants to talk to someone about it, about like clan leadership shit, he should talk to Maki. And then Fushiguro has a frog come out. Well, he first says it seems we'll never be able to get along, so we should just curse each other. And then one of Fushiguro's frogs comes out of a door and it starts flying toward Kamo. He turns around to attack it, and then it dispels. And Fushiguro reveals that this new cursed Shikigami burns through a lot of cursed energy, so he can't have other summons around when he's using this one. He calls it Max Elephant. He summons Max Elephant, and its cheeks inflate, and it starts shooting out a bunch of water. A massive wave of water flies at Kamo and knocks him out of the building. Fushiguro then summons Nue's Lightning Bird, and he goes and attacks Kamo. Kamo lands, and he thinks that he wants to win for his mother. He throws out a blood bag and uses a move called Crimson Binding to restrain the bird, and it falls down. Fushiguro immediately dispels it, and he kind of rushes right at Kamo, but as they're about to continue fighting, a massive fucking bunch of roots like shoot up from behind the backdrop. And we see a huge panned out view as the roots kind of start coming in like that toward them. And then we see Inumaki running along the rooftop as it's going that way. Fushiguro makes note of Inumaki being there, and Inumaki immediately tells them to run away, so they begin running away. We come back to the teachers and the principal. All of the talismans representing all of the cursed spirits die at the same time. They all burn red. The teachers immediately realize something's wrong because they all burn at the same time, and they have no surveillance of what's going on. Since they're burning red, the curses were destroyed by an unrecognized enemy, so they kind of assumed that there was an intruder and something is going wrong. Principal Gura Ganji or Gura Gushi or whatever the fuck, the old man, he kind of remarks that to have killed these in my first grade so easily, it must be a skilled curse user. The Tokyo principal says he's leaving to go check on something. I didn't really quite grasp what he was saying he was doing, but he's essentially leaving the area, and he's leaving the rest of them to fight, which seems kind of, well, to save the children. He doesn't know the full situation yet. But he's leaving them to save the children, which I don't know if I agree with, but then again, I didn't really see what it was he was doing. I'm assuming he's going to go to where the rest of them are trying to get the fingers of Sakuna. And Sakuna. I recently found out it's pronounced Sakuna. It's Sukuna. So I'm assuming he's going to where the rest of the fingers of Sakuna are. So stupid, why isn't it S.A.? Whatever. So Gojo kind of gets up and he tells Gura and Ganshi to get a move on because they gotta go. We see that the troops are following the students throughout as they're running through the temple or whatever, and they're coming toward like this closed door, and more roots shoot out from the door and cut them off there. And then we cut to the butcher, and the butcher's kind of he's saying something, I can't remember what the fuck he was talking about. Probably something about making a coat out of somebody, and he goes and he drives this what looks to be a nail into the ground, or maybe it was a fucking stake, I don't know. But he drives it into the ground, and then he performs an incantation. It said like purify the impure, or do something else, bring about darkness, something I can't quite remember. And he basically casts a giant veil over the area. We've seen this before. Gojo sees the veils being made, and we see like there's a yellow bunch of shit going, and then there's like a black thing going even faster. And we only see that from Gojo's perspective, which I think is intentional due to something coming up soon. It's covering everyone. We get a shot of everybody who can see it. Everyone on the battlefield essentially can see it. Utahime tells Gojo to go ahead, but he realizes it's too late, and he remarks to himself that this must be a very skilled curse user, because the effect of the veil was moving faster than the actual visible part of it. And like I said, only from his perspective could we see like the black part of the veil, which had finished before the yellow part was done. So I think that was intentional to show that he could see where the actual veil was, as opposed to where everyone else could see it. Because it's basically moving faster than the visible, your visible perception would be able to see it. It'd be like, I don't know, if something goes by really fast and it takes your brain like a fraction of a second after it goes by to register that it went by. It's kind of like that. Gojo basically gets to it with Utahime and the old man. He says, well, it's time for me to destroy it. Now it's down. He touches it, but the barrier repels him. And he's kind of shocked that the barrier is able to repel him. And then Utahime kind of says, why is it repelling you, but I can go right through it. And then Gojo, she's sticking her arm through it, and Gojo kind of basically understands at that point, like, the veil is only meant to keep him out. Anyone else can go in or out of it. Which means that these people have a lot of intel on them. They know about him specifically, and that they planned this ahead very well. So Gojo tells him to go ahead, and he's going to wait out there and try to figure something out. As Utahime and the old man go in, the butcher sees them but doesn't see Gojo, and he kind of laments that Gojo is not there and he can't make a coat rack out of an old man. The principal then tells Utahime to go ahead, get to the students and try not to fight anybody, so I'm assuming she doesn't have a combat jujutsu. But he basically says he'll fight the butcher, and then the butcher is kind of like, why don't you let me kill her? I can't do anything with you. He tells him to go drink milk and shit, and then the old man throws down a case, and he reveals that he has a guitar, and he starts playing the guitar. I don't know why. And then we come back to Hanami, and Hanami's up on this elevated part above where the roots came out of the door. And Hanami's voiced by a woman, but I don't know if it's a woman, a female curse. I don't know if there are female curses, but I'm going to refer to Hanami as he, just to keep everything simple. So Hanami is facing off with Fushiguro, Kamo, and Inumaki. Fushiguro recognizes Hanami, and then Fushiguro kind of says, well, I don't know what to do, so we're going to call Gojo. Well, no, Inumaki says something, and he kind of gestures to make a phone call, so that's why Fushiguro says it's a good idea to call Gojo. Kamo asks him that if he can understand Inumaki, and Fushiguro just says that's not important, and as he's trying to call, Hanami rushes right behind Kamo and then breaks the phone. They all kind of freak out, but Inumaki's really quick to tell Hanami, don't move. And Hanami's like, has this big thing, like suppressing him, not letting him move, I guess. But it's only temporary. Kamo then creates a big blood-like ring, and it starts spinning, and he calls it slicing exorcism, and he throws it, and it strikes Hanami in the face, but it doesn't really seem to affect him at all. The lightning bird, Nue, I think is what it was called, attacks Hanami next, and it just shocks the shit out of him, but it doesn't seem to do anything. And then Fushiguro comes in with a sword and strikes him in the leg, and he looks and he just says it's tough, and it cut through like its clothing, but its leg is fine. So none of these attacks really seem to be affecting Hanami. Inumaki's seem to be the most effective, so I'm assuming he's the strongest of them there. Kamo kind of wonders where Fushiguro was hiding the sword the entire time, and it's kind of lets you know that Fushiguro wasn't going all out against him. At least that's how I interpreted that line. And then Hanami begins speaking to the students. And Hanami basically talks about his plan, or his desire, which is to kill all humans because humans are destroying Earth and nature needs to heal, nature needs to take Earth back. He's basically like Vaccine Man from One Punch Man if he wasn't used for a gag and he was actually taken seriously. It's basically what Hanami is. But yeah, he just wants Earth to go back to the way it was. It thinks with time it'll heal and it needs to be time without humans. It knows that there are some humans that care about Earth, but they aren't enough when compared to all the ones that don't, basically, is what it's saying. And we cut to Fushiguro, and he thinks something. I don't remember what he thinks exactly. Because Como thinks second, and his interested me a lot. He says, we need to get Inumaki away, which is very interesting. I think he doesn't get into why, and I'm not sure why, but I think it's because he recognizes Inumaki's power is the only one that works against him. And that likely he's going to be the key to defeating at least Hanami. But obviously there could be extraneous factors as well. I think that's what Kamo's considering. Out of the three of them, Inumaki is the most important. I think that's why he wants to protect him. We cut to Inumaki as well. We don't get anything. Hanami summons more roots and they kind of come around him, and he basically asks the students to become sages and die for nature or something like that. I don't know what sages means exactly. Now to talk, it's basically the end of the episode there. We get to the ending. I really wish we got some of Inumaki's inner thoughts, because now we're hearing him speak, use his cursed speech ability. We see what it does, so, give the voice actor something to do, let him have some thoughts. We can at least hear him talk in his head, for fuck's sake. And then we have a very weird Juju stroll at the end. Mahito and Hanami are dressed up like high school girls, along with the octopus curse, and then Jogo goes like a delinquent. So we open with Mahito berating, and Mahito is actually a girl in this. Mahito's berating Jogo for burning Hanami's flower bed. Hanami's crying. And it's just really weird seeing a female Mahito here. Mahito then kind of says to Hanami, hey, do you want to strangle Jogo? And Hanami says, no, it's going too far. And it's kind of treated comedic. And then we see Hanami at the flower bed, and Hanami has two arms here, and it's just so fucking weird. And the flower bed is burnt, and Hanami's crying. But then Hanami kind of picks up the dirt and realizes that the flower bed needed to be burnt for the fucking plants to grow. So then Hanami notices that Joko is standing next to her, and Joko is blushing, and we get this wide shot where like the cherry blossoms are blowing in the fucking wind. And it's just really weird, and Hanami says throb, and it's just like, bro, stop. What the fuck? It was so weird and bizarre. But yeah, that was about the weirdest of the Jujutsu. Well, the curses playing with the toy was the weirdest one. This one's the second. Then we see a preview for the next episode. It looks pretty cool. There's going to be a lot more fighting. We're going to get to see everything that Hanami can do. Hanami was the one curse that I thought looked really cool and interesting, so I'm glad we get to see everything that he can do right now. And yeah, this episode was really good. A lot of fighting, very good fighting. I didn't dislike any of this fighting, and I really hope that we continue with this. I was critical of Itadori. I've been critical of Itadori's fights and the more physical fights. Nanami versus Mahito, the first one, had some weird posing. And then Itadori and Todo's fight also had some weird posing and art and stuff. But these more like wide, they have like fewer fewer in between frames. They have they come together really fast. The movements aren't like running; they're like bam, blur, bam. You know, the blurs are there and stuff, so it just doesn't look as awkward. You know, because before, like I said, in that one scene where Itadori like throws a punch, they like draw the whole thing, and it just looks too slow for the impact and stuff. But here in this episode, it was just like big blurs and stuff, and it looks fine now. So I hope we keep with that. I hope they keep in this direction. Mappa's really doing good. Now I look forward to the next episode.